Laboratory research has shown that indulging in a single bite of a forbidden food can lead a dieter astray. But a recent study suggests that, in a real-life setting, one bite is actually just a temporary detour. Here's Ray Herbert with We're Only Human.
An inviolable principle of most addiction recovery programs is total abstinence. It appears that for true addicts, one drink or one toke or one line is enough to trigger a binge and a likely relapse. This dogma is not so hard and fast when it comes to food because we all have to eat. Still, chronic overeaters do often embrace a version of the abstinence dogma, treating certain foods like Johnny Walker to an alcoholic. It might be an economy-sized bag of potato chips or a hot fudge sundae or a double order of buffalo wings. Every foodie has a taboo food or two that will predictably shatter his or her discipline and willpower and send the dieter into face-stuffing free fall. Or so the wisdom goes. But is it true? Surprisingly, this idea has never been tested in a real-life situation, so a team of psychologists decided to do just that. Tracy Mann of the University of Minnesota and several colleagues suspected that the notion of catastrophic relapse was too simplistic for a complex behavior like eating. Food-minded people do violate their own rules, of course, but perhaps they make up for their transgressions with a little deprivation later on. This is the idea they wanted to explore. To do so, the psychologists recruited a large group of college undergraduates, all women. They deliberately chose college-age women because as a group they tend to be more weight-conscious and to diet more than the general population. They also questioned each of the volunteers individually to identify their attitudes toward eating, how often they dieted, their weight fluctuations, and so forth. The women thought they were taking part in a broad study of health habits. To make the situation as realistic as possible, the women simply went about their days, going to class, studying, socializing, whatever, but they carried electronic diaries with them at all times. The psychologist paged the women once an hour during waking hours and asked them a variety of questions, including queries about eating and snacking and, importantly, about diet violations. The study took 2 days, and the results showed no evidence that eating a forbidden food triggers binge or relapse. This was true even among the women most preoccupied with weight and dieting. The researchers wanted to double-check this finding, so they did a second study, this one lasting 8 days, during which the women kept detailed logs of their food consumption. In the first study, it was unclear how each of the volunteers defined a food violation. It might have been a single bite of a Snickers bar or an entire tray of lasagna. So in this study, the researchers created a ruse that required about half the volunteers to drink an 8-ounce milkshake. They figured this would be an eating violation to most women who are weight conscious. Then they compared their post-milkshake calorie consumption to their calorie consumption for the week before, and they also compared the violators to those who had not violated their diet. And guess what? Drinking the forbidden milkshake was not a dietary catastrophe. Indeed, as reported in the journal Psychological Science, the women who drank the shake ate no more calories overall than the other women, and their calorie consumption the day of the violation was no greater than their typical daily consumption had been for the prior week, about 1,400 calories. In other words, they somehow compensated for the milkshake later in the day, skipping an evening snack, going light at dinner, and as a result got themselves back on track without delay. This is good news. It's not clear from this study if the women deliberately compensated for the taboo milkshake or if that caloric balancing act takes place on an unconscious level. Perhaps that doesn't matter. The bottom line is that a milkshake is just that and no more. It's not symbolic of weakness or failure and doesn't have to ruin a day or a week or a lifetime commitment. This is Ray Herbert with We're Only Human.
For more insight into the quirks of human nature, visit www.psychologicalscience.org/onlyhuman.